All praise to the Most High. We give honor to our Creator today. We thank the Most High today for allowing us to come back and waking up to a beautiful, beautiful day in the land of the living, as we would call it. I want to talk today about the Starseed transmissions, the Starseed transmissions, and the ley lines. Now, I'm just getting into this information, but I'm learning. And when we talked about the Starseed transmission by Ken Carey, and then we're going to deal with also in upcoming videos by Alfred Watkins, ley lines, the early British trackways, moats, mounds, campsites, camps and sites, the ley lines. I was listening to a mentor of mine, and he mentioned a couple of things, and I said, "Wow, this is very interesting because I have to look at some things." And let me tell you this first of all: this is not going to be a very, very pleasant video or study for a lot of people. You know why? Because we've been so accustomed to call everything witchcraft. And I'm just that guy where if they tell you don't touch the fence and it's going to shock you, and the oppressor said don't touch the fence because you're going to get killed, you're going to get electrocuted, and then you pass it down and they pass it down to their posterity to and get to me, and I'm just that type of guy where I'm going to touch it and I'm going to dig and I'm going to try to understand exactly what's saying. Everything we've been bamboozled, and we'll get to our lesson in a moment. We have been so bamboozled concerning um concerning what's supposed to be witchcraft, and we have been lied to. See, they gave us things that they say that was witchcraft to scare us so we would not tap into our power, to we would not tap into um our true heritage and understanding. That's just the way it is. We just don't know anything about who we are. We don't understand about anything who we are. And so what we do, we get scared and we go what the oppressors have told us. Let's deal with this really fast. It was just very interesting to me when I went into the when I went into let's see, we can pull this up. I want you to see what I'm talking about. I want you to see this. This is very, very interesting. Like I said, I'm not totally um, studious in this particular area, but then I'm just giving you a little bit of the understanding where I'm going. Okay, okay. Watch this. Let's go to our screen share. I'm gonna give you this. This is gonna be a little different because we just been taught that everything is so much witchcraft and everything is so demonic, and it did not come from the Most High. It comes from a lot of teaching. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something that's very interesting as well. No, I better do that another time. I better make that another video. Let's look at this really quick. Now, I went a little deep. People ask me, where you be getting this information? What inspired you to do this? Okay, were churches built upon pagan sites? Were churches built on top of pagan temples or sites? Eventually, the prime sites of the pagan temples were very often occupied by churches. I said, and I thought about. I don't know if you can hear me. Okay, I got my
I don't know if you can hear me very well, but I didn't have my mouthpiece on. So look at this. Now I asked the question: were churches built on top of pagan temples? Eventually, the prime sites of the pagan temples were very often occupied by churches. The Church of Santa Maria Sopra Minerva, literally Saint Mary above Minerva in Rome, Christianized about 750, being simply the most obvious example where churches were actually built on top of pagan sites. Now, you got to understand that when they're talking about pagan sites and pagan temples and paganism, they're talking about the Israelites. The Israelites were um, considered pagans by the Catholic Church. If you did not switch over to Christianity, you were considered a pagan. You were considered a pagan. You were considered a pagan. Let me make sure I can turn my make sure I'm on. Yeah, let me see. You were considered a pagan. Now watch this. Now I even went a little further and tried to find some stuff. Oh, let's go back real quick. I even asked where churches built upon um, pagan sites. Of course, lots of churches were built upon pagan worship. Now, if they were so demonic and ungodly and paganistic, why would the churches build up on top of them? Do you think that they were trying to get the energies from the original people that was on these lands? And this was a deliberate act to stamp out pagan practices. They say they were stamping out, but why? If I think something, I'm not going to go. If I'll tell you what, if I want to go build a house and I just want to take a stand, I tell you what, or stamp out demonic activity. I'm not going to build my house on top of a former graveyard. I'm not going to do it because a lot of these practices, a lot of these places where we have um, um, these churches, these Catholic churches, I guarantee you they're burial sites of our people. Now, I'm going to just introduce this to you, and I will talk about this more often as we go forward. But I want you to be the person to dig for yourself. In most cases, the evidence of the pagan sites is buried under the latter Christian developments, and a lot of even continue continuity of the two sites side by side. I'm gonna give you a good example really fast. Now, my hometown is Toledo, Ohio. So I'm going to go back into Toledo, Ohio, and we're going to deal with a church called St. Anthony Catholic Church. Now, that will be located on the corner of Junction and Nebraska Avenue. Junction and Nebraska Avenue. And we're going to look at this really fast. The Toledo Parish, the Toledo Parish churches, St. Anthony Parish. I'm not going to read all this information, but I want you to look into it. And what I'm trying to make sense of is that our ancestors are most likely, and information. I guarantee you, I've noticed, and I'm until I started awakening, I never thought about this. There are a lot of churches that has been built in the early 1800s when the War of 1812 and different ones. They called them wars because they were actually colonizing, raping, robbing, and murdering Native Americans that was already here. And they were black Native Americans, not what you see today, because the ones you see today are not the original Native Americans. They have made secret oaths to portray themselves as Native Americans where they're not Native Americans. They don't want you to go back and check this stuff out. because they tell you it doesn't matter. Your heritage doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who lived here before. But if you look at blood quantums, if you look at information concerning the Native Americans today, they're getting tens of thousands of dollars a month to play a role that's not relegated to them. So when we look at this, when we understand that if we would look into our own history, then maybe you can get that money. However, we don't think it's necessary to do so. Even if when we talk about we need to get reparations, but how you going to get reparations when you don't care about who you are? If you cared about who you are, and this you probably saying, what has this got to do? What is it what you're talking about? This right here is so important that when you begin to know who you are and know what your history is, you would get money from the government. There are people right now that are saying they are Native Americans and they have no ancestral history or no ties to Native Americans and getting paid. You get what I'm saying? And getting paid. You look it up yourself. That's why they made up the one drop rule, so you would not be able to get that money. You would not be able to be blessed with 15,000, $20,000 a month on top of what you earn. So when we look at this right here, the St. Anthony Parish, you always know where you are by looking for the steeple, they would say. So very high. The roof is about 120 feet high. And if you read this, I'm telling you, it's a look at this Toledo pgs.com St. Anthony / St. Anthony Parish. Read through this. Very interesting information and tell you when you look at this information and you will begin to understand that what who built this building. I don't even really say we show who actually constructed the building. So a lot of these buildings was already constructed before they took over. You have to read this for yourself. And it's very interesting because it will take you to even more information. Well, I even asked, what was the name of Toledo, Ohio? What is this Native American name? And so a lot of people don't know Ohio, Ohio, meaning what should they say it meaning the great river. What was this? What was the people that was here? What was their names? And I even got that up here as well. Let me pull this up real quick, and maybe you can look at this yourself. And if you find out anything yourself, please let me know. And who were the Native Americans, and what were their tribes before they colonized? Okay, let's see if I can pull this information up. Very, very good stuff, y'all. What was the name of the tribes? And okay, here goes something right here. What Native American tribes lived in Toledo, Ohio? The Toledo Museum of Art is located on an ancestral homeland. Isn't that something? The Toledo Museum of Art. If you probably say when I say the Starseed and I'm saying the ley lines, I'm saying that what we got to do is take your shoes off. Maybe you don't want to do it in the wintertime. It's probably be too cold because we are sun people. The rays from the ground. Every once in a while, they let you. I know. I'm not sure if they would let you or not go to the museum, Toledo Museum of Art, and just go walk on the grounds because those are ancestral homelands of our people. The Erie, the Kickapoo, the Odawa, and Seneca. And there's other tribes, native tribes, also conducted on trade and called this region their home, including the Lenape, if I'm saying it correctly, Miami, Okid, Okich, Okitway, Peoria, Potawatomi, if I'm saying it correctly, Sauk, the Shawnee, and Wyandotte. You have to go and look at these names, look at these sites, And what you do, you walk, take your shoes off, take your socks off, and you walk on these sites. And you're probably like, what this got to do, preacher, with God, and what's this got to do with salvation and trying to get to heaven and all this kind of stuff? When you understand that these sites, these churches were built upon our sites, our ley lines. They were built upon our ley lines, our sacred sites. And so they want the energy that that our ancestors um 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 connected with the most high. And see, and I began to look at even some of this stuff with the with our with consciousness. And I'm gonna just read a little bit of this and I'm gonna let you go. um Now I'm starting to understand a little bit even concerning spiritual consciousness. You probably say this is new age, and because you're going by what the oppressors told you, so you don't connect with your with our higher power, with our creator, and you don't want to connect with our higher. That's why we're always in a place where we're always down, and we're always sick. We're always in a place where we feel degraded and hurt and pain and poverty and down and out and always because we cannot. And the first thing people would say, spirituality, that's paganism, and that's witchcraft. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's throw you a scripture in before we go. Let's go to your Christian Bible, Matthew chapter 22. Let's go to Matthew chapter 22, and then in verse number 37. Matthew chapter 22 and verse number 37. Let's read Matthew chapter 22 verse number 37. Master, which is 36. Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Jesus said unto him, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart. Tell me this is not consciousness. With all your soul and with all your mind. And then we want to talk about this is witchcraft, but it's right in our scriptures when it's telling us to tap into our consciousness with our creator. Love the Lord God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment. And see, we don't want to deal with that. And then now we also you ask, what is consciousness? Consciousness in the Bible, awareness of God. And we call it at times, we want to spiritualize it and call it, I want to have a personal relationship with God. We should all have I have a personal relationship with God. A personal relationship with God is spiritual awareness. It's consciousness that you know who you are serving, you know who you are worshiping. Consciousness, spiritual consciousness. That's what it is. But they have given us and bamboozled us and got us thinking that if we try to tap into our ley lines, we tap into our esoteric and our gifts and callings and understanding of who our creator is, that's witchcraft. And let me tell you what we'll do. We will be in. You ever see people in church and they be dancing and shouting and they be bucking and their eyes be rolling in the back of their heads. Come on, some people look at that and say that is demonic. They will see that as demonic. But you know what? But in the holiness church, we we okay with booking and getting into our awareness of who God is, a personal relationship with God, awaken to a higher power or higher consciousness. We know that there is we say the man upstairs. We know that there's a higher power, a higher creator. We know that. But when our people, before the colonizers came onto the scene, we were serving our creator. Not all, because that's why we got in trouble for serving other gods. We were serving and we were worshiping our creator. And all Israelites was not disobedient. All Israelites was not doing what they want to do. But I told you, before, after, and after that, when we get into um, sin, when one person or one group or whatever get into sin, the whole nation is punished. Most want a limited relationship with God. We don't want a full, unadulterated, loving relationship with God. We say we do, but we don't really want no full relationship with God, because if we did, we would study to show ourselves approved. We would really, really, really get to the point of worshiping our Creator with all our hearts, with all our minds, all our soul, our mind, our will, intellect, and emotions. But we'll rather give that to a man or a woman. See, when you begin to know who you are, when you begin to really know who you are, you will have an the reticular activating system pops in. You know what the reticular activating system is that you never really paid attention to a car until you bought one. And then you began to see all your cars that you bought. You never really paid attention to these cars. And the reticular activating system is that when you are driving down the street, and you ever done this before, when you're driving down the street and then you have a space of time where you just, wow, I didn't even realize you were thinking about your loved one, you're thinking about school, you're thinking about the most high, you think about something, and then you go 5 miles down the road driving down the highway, and you're like, how did I get from there to there? I was thinking about, my mind was gone. My mind was thinking about school, thinking about my kids, thinking about that test I got to take, thinking about the most high. And you look back and you snap out of that and you say, wow, how did I get from here to there? Because your mind went. See, I'm telling you, the mind is a powerful, powerful tool. And when you get your mind and you get your understanding that you have a higher creator, and some of you, I'm going to say this, I know people are going to be upset. Some people are going to be upset. Matter of fact, once you go look at that reticular activating system, make sure you go look that up. Some people are going to be upset when I say this, and I'm going to end this video right now. Some of you have esoteric, powerful esoteric communications through the Most High Yah. We've been told that these gifts that we have are demonic because they don't want you to connect with our Creator. They don't want you to connect because they knew the Israelites, they connected with the Most High. They had a consciousness that was so powerful with the Most High. And that's why they keep us today separate, because they know that if we ever came together, it is game over. See, I'm not telling you to get into voodoo and witchcraft, one and all this stuff that's gonna get you in trouble with the Most High. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm telling you that we are the Starseed transmissions. We're the ones that are really, really, really connected to the Most High. And that's why they don't want us to connect. That's why they build their churches right on top of our sites. And those of you from my hometown, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Those churches that's sitting there that they won't never tear down, they call historical landmarks that's been there. Some of those buildings was built by our ancestors. They're not going to tell you this. And some of you all over the country, I'm trying to tell you, and all over the world for that matter, they built these lands, these churches and these sites and these buildings, getting energy right from our sacred sites. I know you're not used to this, but you should. If you got a building somewhere and that building and then find out how long that building's been sitting there, you just might find some treasures. You just might find the spiritual energies that come from our ancestors, that I'm talking about the site. I'm not saying any ancestors are in there and floating around. I'm not saying that. I'm saying is the energies from the site, from the ley lines, the ley lines, early trackways, moats, mounds, camps, and sites. I'm trying to tell you, we do have sacred sites, and that's why they knew we're going to build our churches, or we're going to take over a church, and we're going to name it our church. We're going to build the church right on top of it. They're sacred sites, and I almost guarantee you, those sacred sites have the bodies of our ancestors right in them grounds. See, you don't understand the esoteric and exoteric information. You look it up yourself. Now, that's all I got to say on this subject. I'm going to deal with this more and more in the coming days and weeks, and we'll talk about this more. Those of you, especially that want a closer relationship or a personal relationship with God, the personal relationship with God that you say you want. Do you really, really, truly, truly want a personal relationship with God? When you want a personal relationship with God, you will give him all of your heart. You will give him all of your soul. You'll give him all of your mind. I'm speaking to the star seed transmissions. I'm talking to we are his star seed. I'm out of here. All praise to the Most High. Shalom. Oh, by the way, before we end up, please go to the YouTube page and like and subscribe to the channel. I'm sorry. It's called Wake Up Judah. I'm telling you to wake up, Judah. Judah are the praisers. Wake up, Judah. Wake up, Judah. You're called and chosen to be, you're called and chosen to be his sons and daughters. Wake up, Judah. Those of you, especially in the United States of America, and those Judites, Yahudah, the people that scattered to the four corners of the earth. Wake up. Hallelujah. Wake up. All praises to the Most High. Shalom.